Hi guys, so I wanted to make a little video about Days Gone because I think it's getting unfair press coverage really. I wasn't blown away by the marketing, and so I wasn't interested in it at all because I thought it was kind of a crazy Horde shooter game, but then I watched GG Gab playing it and it made me realise it's a very different game, a much slower paced game with a stealth focus to it. Plays like an open world Last of Us basically. And it wound up being a very different game than I thought, so I bought it and I've played it for about, 20 hours so far, so I'm not a great way through the game, but I can tell you my early thoughts on it. And here you can see this is basically what you spend, or what I spend a lot of the game doing, is you come across enemies, you tag them with your binoculars, and then you figure out how to deal with them. It's not a run and gun kind of crazy thing, it's got a nice pace, it's got a nice atmosphere to it. You come across buildings and you have a little peek through them to see what you can scrounge up, and you can see in here, it looks great. It feels like Last of Us, except it's got some better systems than Last of Us actually. Obviously the story isn't as good as Last of Us, but other than that, so you scrounge in cop cars to get ammunition out of them, and you find bits and pieces elsewhere to craft whatever you need. You've got a bike with you which functions like the car in Mad Max, which you have to repair and get fuel for, so it's kind of got a survival aspect to it in that respect, which I haven't found to be annoying so far. I know some reviews say that it is, but it's been alright for me. I love the tone and the pacing of the game. When you come across enemies, it's always fun, It's not like Red Dead where you think, well, I can't do anything because I'll just get a random bounty on my head that gets stuck there forever, or a witness who suddenly appeared out of nowhere saw it. None of that in this. I know that I'm going to be able to get away with whatever I want. There's no morality system that I'm aware of, and you get to do it at your own pace. You're not forced into sort of some crazy confrontation. The AI in this game isn't amazing. It's nothing I haven't really seen before, but it's done in a way that satisfies me, especially the fact that you can use unsilenced weapons without getting hugely punished. Like in Dying Light, if you shoot, then extra fucking enemies spawn in, and so it feels like the game just says never fire a gun ever. But in this game, you can make a noise and enemies will go, oh no, somebody's about, but they're not just homing in your XY coordinates. So long as you've got a bit of distance between you, you can use all your weapons all the time, which is a much better way to do things. Early on in the game, the handgun has got poor accuracy. It sort of feels like The Last of Us in that respect. You've got a circle to aim with, and you can't really rely on it. It feels nice when you actually land the fucking headshots, because they still go down with one hit. Here I did not too bad. I missed that one, yeah. And that feels good. I understand that later in the game I'll be able to up that with a skill, so I'll be able to have good accuracy. That guy fucking got all of that. But on the flip side, it does mean that the rifles have a purpose. You see, you can shoot much longer range with those, especially with the scope rifle. And that, it just feels great, man. It just feels so good to walk up and be like, I'm going to pick you fuckers off one by one. Here I'm using a silenced pistol just to show you that you've got suppressors in this, which wear out over time, but you can buy new ones or craft them or whatever. See, this guy didn't hear shit, so that's nice to see in a game like this. Melee combat is whatever. At least you've got a dodge roll, but it's nothing special. But it isn't crap. What I like to do most of the time is stab people right in the fucking neck. It's really nice that they've got loads of different stealth kill animations. I've recorded a few of them for you to see here, so you're not just seeing the same one over and over again like in The Last of Us. I don't know how many there are. I mean, it just feels fresh all the time. It's really nice. There is a neck snap as well, which I didn't record. I didn't get footage of it this time. Here I am stepping in a fucking man trap. I was surprised by these. If you walk slow, you can see the icon and you can pick it up before you even get hit by it, and you can use it yourself. I haven't really experimented that much with it, but I thought it was a neat touch when I was recording this footage, so I've put it in here. I don't know how long it keeps them for. I got the impression it would keep them forever and ever and ever. But it's pretty cool. You've got thrown stuff like Molotovs here for dealing with groups of enemies, grenades and pipe bombs and things like that. You can throw stones to attract enemies, which you've got infinite of, so you're not having to find a brick to do. When they die, you pick up their ears or whatever other trophy to prove to the camps that you've been killing enemies in the area, and then you take them into the bounty dude and say, look how many I killed. This is great because it gives you an incentive to do it, although it's really fun to kill them anyway, the loop becomes really, really rewarding because you set out to, to get trust and earn credits so you can spend it on upgrades and bullshit, which you'd expect. I'm not telling you anything you don't know about these games anyway, but I often find that in reality the process isn't fun. It's always the end that you want. So in a lot of games you say, I want that next skill, I want to buy this, so unfortunately I've got to play the game. This game doesn't feel like that. This game feels like, oh yeah, I am going to be upgrading that thing, but you sort of forget that that's what you're doing, because I just like going up against these dickheads all the time. So yeah, you can see I'm fiddling around with the upgrades here. I upgrade the engine. I'd been playing with the original engine for a while, and then I got this, and you feel it straight away. So the upgrades are worthwhile, and it feels nice to tinker with that. Even though it's nothing, again, it's nothing special. It doesn't. I don't think it has as many upgrades as Mad Max or anything, but it's okay. Now this is what I thought the whole game would be. I got fucking crept up on by a horde, a shit my pants, and I'm like, what the fuck? And this is what I thought the whole game was going to be, but it really isn't. This is super rare. I think I've only, in the 20 hours I've played it so far, early game still, I think I've only seen 3 hordes, and I was under no obligation to engage with them and just get the fuck out of there. And these seemed like random. I don't think this is a scripted thing, it's just whatever. And this isn't a very big horde. If you've seen the trailers and stuff, you know you get absolutely giant ones. But I don't have what it takes at this stage in the game to fucking take these guys on. Now, I don't want to give the impression that this game's a flawless experience, because it's not. So I've included some footage of some glitches and some bullshit going down, just so that you know I'm not a fanboy or whatever, and I'm not saying this game is just a shining beacon. Here's like a problem with the gunplay. Like, I totally missed that. There's no way I hit her, and it's like, yeah, definitely one shot, headshot. And then this dude, okay, I do miss that shot, but look how far I miss it by. Fucking nothing. So that is a little annoying early game. There was a lot of frame drop issues. I couldn't find, particularly after recording the footage, anything that shows the frame drops, but I know they happen. Especially when you're on the bike and stuff's flying by you, it does drop. And here's an example of the AI being a dickhead. So he was miles away and I killed him, and his mate must have heard it, but he's fucking miles away as well. But I found, you'll see what he does, he just comes right to me, which is what I don't want to happen. And I've said before that this isn't what normally happens, and it's not. This is like 1 out of 1,000 enemies who do this. And he's like, yeah, I know exactly where you are, mate. Like, do you fuck? So yeah, this kind of shit goes down sometimes. It's not the norm, but again, I don't want to lie to you and say, yeah, this is flawless, because it's not. I've always hated review scores, and we're in a weird situation where if something gets 71 on average, I think most people look at that and go, there's better games for me to play. Am I really going to buy something that gets 71? When, depending on how you interpret it, 71 could be, this is well above average, if you say 5 is average. So in a sense, I don't disagree with the review score of it, but when you compare it to other games, like you've got Red Dead Redemption 2, average score on Metacritic, 97, 9.7. And so how does that compare to this? Is it really that much better than this? No. In my opinion, this is far better than Red Dead Redemption 2. I found all the time in Red Dead 2, I'm screaming why at the screen. All of the systems, all the slow shit, you can't run in a camp, you have to spend 10 hours looting every corpse, and the wanted system and everything else. I don't want this video to become a Red Dead rant, but you see what I'm saying. It's like, how are these games being reviewed? What are we talking about? And I can't review the game because I haven't played it to the end, so I'm just giving you my impressions because I'm like, fucking hell, people need to play this. Again, I'm not saying it's the best game ever, but I'm saying if you like zombie games, if you like survival stuff, if you like open world dicking around and stealth, then this is definitely worth playing. It's up there with all of the contemporaries. I think that the sort of tone and the pacing is something that sets it apart. Things like Horizon Zero Dawn are fine, but the pacing is far more action oriented, a bit more sort of slick, and you don't really feel like the stealth option is maybe the one to use, and the AI for stealth is pretty meh. You don't feel like you outsmarted anybody if you're using stealth. In this, you're walking around, you come across a group of 10 enemies with all random parts, and you're standing there with a pistol, you know, and one Molotov, and you're like, oh, like, how am I going to do this? Shall I even bother doing this? And it's in your hands. And all that kind of stuff really appeals to me, and it doesn't have the hang-ups that other games have, some of the other frustrations that I've come across. I will say that the gun system is a bit weird, that you find guns laying around, you find enemy guns, shotguns and whatnot, but you can't put them in your locker and then have them whenever you want. You can only do that once you buy them. That's a silly system, and there are probably other little things like that too which don't really make much sense, but there's no kind of point in saying what percentage, when it really comes down to should you fucking play this game or not. And I think that if you like this kind of game, if you like open world, if you like zombies, then check it out. Definitely buy it, definitely play it. I worry that some people aren't going to give this game a chance because of the type of reviews it's got and because the marketing didn't really make it clear, at least to me, exactly what the focus of the game was. And I think it's a shame that people aren't talking about this game in the same breath as stuff like Last of Us and Horizon Zero Dawn, Red Dead, Dying Light and so on. You know, I think that some people are considering this to be mediocre and something that's not worth giving your time to and your money to, but I think that it is, and I think that a lot of people will be surprised. I think this is basically what I wanted out of Dying Light, and Dying Light disappointed me in terms of the combat and how you interacted with the enemies and the limitations of it. This is far more interesting because of the slower pace and the stealth aspect of it, how it feels so rewarding to interact with the enemies, and I'm just going to sink a lot more hours into it, I think. Anyway, hope you like this video. See you later.